Hello my beautiful little Moglets. So today we are talking about Basar. He is currently in the summon rate up system. We actually have Basar so we can do a bit of gameplay with him as well. Asking if you should pull for him. We have technically raised him to usable levels for what we're going to demonstrate him for, but yeah, he's a super interesting character. As usual for these, I'm going to leave a poll up in the top right. Click that to either vote if you should pull for him, shouldn't pull for him, or just click to look what other people's choices are. Here's Basar anyway. He recently got a pretty massive buff to his ultimate. Some other things with his other skills changed, but this is like the main thing here. So he'll first dispel all buffs and make them unable to be buffed, and then he'll decrease their combat readiness by 30%. The really special thing is when you soulburn it, it will ignore effect resistance. So if you soulburn it, regardless of everything, he is guaranteed to decrease their combat readiness by 30%. This means as long as you have a maxed book with you, Tagahel's Ancient Book, you can even throw it on him since he's a mage, build him with as much speed as possible. He is a really good combat readiness manipulator. I always prefer combat readiness pushers to decreasers because of that RNG factor with effect resistance, but that doesn't bother him since you can soulburn it. So basically what we're going to do is just completely strip Oxlots of everything, put it on Basar, and let's see what happens. Oxlots is currently at 238 speed, and I'm totally happy with doing this since we do in fact have free gear removal. And so there he is. He has 5 less speed than auxiliary lots, which is a little unfortunate, and he does not get any more speed via awakening. So on the plus side, you don't need to fully awaken him, and he really doesn't need much of anything at all, at least if you're exclusively using him for combat readiness. If you're going to use him in PvE, that's kind of a different story. Of course, you want him with some effectiveness because he has some pretty nice debuffs on his second skill, decrease hit chance and attack, similar to Dizzy, just without the decreased speed as well, which is, to be fair, a very nice debuff as well. Super strong basic as well, can decrease defense or attack, unhealable, silence, and if he himself has a debuff, there's a chance to transfer one of those to the enemy. With Moglets, that goes up to 75%. So I'd like to have 2 mages, Baiken and Judge Kisa, in my arena team. I haven't really decided on the other mage. Gonna get to Spectre Timbria next, but as she is a damage dealer, I want to get her to 6-star before I do anything there. I want to have Baiken in my team as I might need a bit more combat readiness help for my very... She's actually not even that slow. Baiken isn't actually that much faster. Whatever, we're gonna throw Dizzy with the other Ancient Book in there. 27 actually should be fine. Since she has 211 speed, I could actually just try and push them back even more, though it's possible for them to resist it in that case. But let's see how this plays out. One thing I didn't really consider is that it can miss on fire units and others with evasion. Also, at least for this team, I don't think I'll need the extra speed, but we are losing quite a bit since we're not going to have Shuri in there either. Maybe if I find that Dizzy and Basar are enough combat readiness, then we can take her out and put Shuri back in. But yeah, let's just see how this plays out. I don't think I have memory imprints for any of them, so I don't need to really worry about placement. Literally everyone in our team is faster, but let's just try and push them back anyway. Let's see how this plays out.
Time for you to close your eyes.
I don't know what's up with those frame drops, but yeah. Looks like it pushed everyone back. They're all unable to be buffed. That's pretty cool. So we could push them back even further with Dizzy, or we can just debuff them all. Since we don't actually need them to be pushed back anymore, we're just going to debuff them. Damn, those dudes are so wrecked. Now we're just going to go after the Reviver. Want to try and have her dead alongside Moonlight Vildred when it's Judge Kisa's turn. Oh yeah, I forgot. She has no attack buff now. That might be a little hard. I mean, I'm not surprised that killed him, but this, don't know about that. Okay, yeah, that's a pretty squishy Vildred. We still have Kin to take care of, but I don't think he'll be much of a problem. I mean, this team is like pure combat readiness. None of them have had a chance to attack yet. And yeah, that worked out pretty dang well, I should say. We didn't get touched. You have to be careful when it comes to other fast teams because Basar really isn't that fast. Base speed wise, you know, for a combat readiness manipulator. And of course, you have to be careful about teams like this where there's going to be tons of counter attacks. I mean, with Basar stripping any immunity they might have, Dizzy can come in and debuff them before too much damage is done, which is definitely another cool thing about him. And then you might be able to survive the counter attacks when they're all, you know, attack broken, hit chance. Just for that, I'm curious and I want to see. Basar might die as soon as he does his ult though, because of Moonlight Kin counter. I don't think he has much crit rate though, so maybe we won't crit on him. Shao, look at how many immunities there are. Goodbye immunities, hopefully. No criticals, so hopefully we are not unlucky and Kin won't counter. Yeah, there we go. Looking good. And now we're gonna debuff them and just hope Baiken goes second as it says she will. Yeah, now we get her counter, but yeah, Baiken should be able to increase everyone's combat readiness, namely Judge Kisa's. Damn, dude. And hopefully we can finish this off. We'll see, though. I don't know if we can get rid of that Moonlight Kin. Oh god, very not. Oh yeah, another bad thing is Shuri is missing his crit chance artifact. Yeah, I didn't think about that either. Let's try his second skill now. It's one I don't really use. He doesn't have much effectiveness, so past his first turn he's not going to be super useful in this setup, but you know, still does something. And we're still manipulating their combat readiness like crazy, so we can actually give Baiken the crit chance artifact to make this all a little bit better. Kin might just go and kill us all, to be honest. Nope, think that's it. I mean, that was a pretty damn good defense team. Charles, ML, Kin, Seaside, Bologna. So yeah, I'd say he's definitely really good for offense. In my case, for my team, I think I still prefer Auxiliary Lots because first of all, he gives the attack buff. And since I don't really need to care about immunity sets or anything with, you know, my typical just going into Judge Kisa and then DPSing them to death, I don't really need Basar's strip, but for those that do, like Dizzy teams, you know, he's really awesome. And on defense, I'm sure he's good too. It's just you can't soul burn anything on defense, so you'll have to build him with a lot more effectiveness than you do have to otherwise. As for PvE, I'd be a little bit scared to take him in his current gear and level and everything. You would of course want to get him to 6-star, get him awakened for PvE, I would say. If you build him a little bit more geared towards offense, he might be pretty good for Azumanic actually, due to the fact he can remove buffs. You can get that down to a 4-turn cooldown. Also for some of the Hall of Trials bosses, I'm sure he can be good, because like at least the most annoying one in my opinion, Mercedes, really needs buffs removed, and the cannot buff debuff is also great for her. There's also Assyria for that, but she's a different story. Also decrease hit chance, decrease attack, those are all good defensive debuffs. So now the question, pull or pass? Well, as always, it depends. Well, not always, sometimes it doesn't depend. Sometimes it only depends on if you don't have the hero. Like Tamarin, for example. If you didn't have Tamarin when she was here, you should pull. That's the only thing that kind of depends there, but that I don't know if that actually counts. But yeah, Basar, in my opinion, the thing that makes him special is that third skill, the fact you can soul burn it. So if you have access to a maxed book artifact, because that's what he's going to kind of need. So if you have a need for AoE, combat readiness manipulation, he is probably the best one for the job. I know there are others like Judith that can boost it almost as much. You know, we have Ruzid, but the thing is with those skills, that's all it does is increase your combat readiness by 25-30%. With his soulburned ult, you're pretty much guaranteed to push them back 30%, plus remove any buffs they have, mostly immunity in this case, plus make them unable to be buffed, plus dealing damage. So if you can get him fast and strong, you know, with some attack, some crit rate, some crit damage, he'd be a damn force to be reckoned with. Of course, for that, you also need 6-star. But yeah, all in all, his stats are actually quite nice. 1300 attack, 108 speed. Again, for a combat readiness manipulator, it's a little slow, but I think it's serviceable. And the attack is really good too. As for his skill multipliers, they're nothing special. His second and third skill are both AoE. His basic skill has a 1-1, which is basically just the usual damage. Second skill is AoE with a 0.9 and a 1, so it'll do a little bit less damage than his basic, but to all enemies. And then Sandstorm is 0.9, so it'll do a little bit less damage than Hurricane. But still with that solid base attack, I mean, I don't think you're going to be one-shotting anyone, but you can do some significant damage to follow up with some other AoEs in your team, you know? Maybe Celestial Mercedes might be a pretty good candidate because she can also boost her own then after her third skill. But yeah, all in all, I think Basar is a very solid hero. I'm gonna leave that poll up there again. Make sure to check it out. I'm a little bit on the fence if you should summon for him, honestly. It really depends on your own situation. Because on one hand, if you're newer to the game and want to get into Arena, you might be better off going with someone like Judith to push your combat readiness, because newer players might not have access to, you know, a plus 30 Tagahel book or really good speed gear that can make up for his slightly lacking base speed. But otherwise, I think mid to late game players can definitely find some value in Basar. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about Basar. Make sure to leave your own thoughts in the comments down below, vote in the poll, etc, etc. Leaving a like if you happen to enjoy is always greatly appreciated as well. Thanks, as always, for watching, and until next time.